Hey yo guys, welcome to a special little segment I'm going to add to the show, or to the channel, whatever you want to call it. It'll be called Listed, where I do a top 20 of anything in wrestling. Now this week's show, this debut edition, will be the top 20 greatest tag teams in all of wrestling. Now, for some of you wondering why I'm doing this, well, I think tag team wrestling is one of the greatest to happen in the whole business of wrestling, and I've really been missing the great tag team action on the mainstream. I mean, it's great in the indies. But anyway, let's just get to the top 20. Team number 20 is Edge and Christian. Now, Edge and Christian ranking at number 20 because, well, they are one of the best tag teams the WWE ever had. They were great on the mic, and they made great sacrifices in the rings, getting huge bumps, taking huge bumps. Edge and Christian, one of my favorite teams. They could be possibly the funniest guys in the history of wrestling. And they're talented as hell. I mean, you've all seen their ladder matches and their great tag matches. Fantastic stuff. So Edge and Christian, number 20. Team number 19, the Outsiders, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. Now, they rank in at 19 because they did lack in ring, inside the ring, but still, they were a part of the, they were the NWO pretty much. They started the whole faction of the NWO, and they were great on the mic, and they did have some good matches with some great tag teams. I mean, you can't doubt the Outsiders when it comes to big matches. I mean, they would come through even though they're very limited in the ring. So the Outsiders, number 19. Team number 18, the Hardy Boys. Now, it was kind of hard for me to put them in this countdown because I'm not a really big fan of them, but I can't take away of their great in-ring ability. I mean, when they became WWF Tag Team Champions for the first time, it was a big shocker since they defeated the Acolytes, who were getting this great push. I mean, they had to take some serious jobs for the business. I mean, they were notified jobbers for like a very long time, maybe like 5-year jobbing period. So anyway, they've had awesome matches with anyone. I mean, they're one of the best tag teams of the new generation. I mean, their matches with the Dudleys and Edge and Christian and anyone, they could put on a great tag match. I mean, I would rather see them go their separate ways now, but still, Hardy Boys are one of the greatest teams of this generation. So Hardy Boys are number 18. Team 17, 3D. Now, Team 3D gets on this list because they were the best tag team that ECW ever, well, one of the best tag teams ECW ever created, I'll just say that. They had great matches in ECW. I mean, they are a great tag team, but most of their great matches have been with gimmicks, like table matches and ladder matches or whatever. I mean, if they could go pretty much without gimmicks and stuff, they'd obviously be higher on the list. But they were one of my favorite tag teams when they arrived in WWF. I mean, I really didn't get to see them in ECW, but still, they're a pretty cool tag team. And their stuff they did to Mae Young and stuff, awesome. And their recent feud with LAX gets them on there because Bubba's promos were phenomenal. And just great to see them be 20-time tag team champions. So, Team 3D, number 17. Team number 6, the Public Enemy. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Yeah, that's right. So, rest in peace to the Public Enemy, first of all. But the Public Enemy were great because they pretty much were the first big thing that ECW, the real ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, created. And they had great stuff also in WCW. A very short title run as WCW Tag Team Champions, but still they did stuff. So I always wish they would have had a better run in the WWF, but they were not liked at all. So that's why Public Enemy gets there. And I'm just a big fan of Public Enemy as well. Great tables matches. They also hung with the best of them. They hung with Malenko and Benoit in the early ECW days. So Public Enemy, team number 16. Now, team number 15 is the Rock and Roll Express. Express had to be on this list because they're some of the best workers ever. They had great feuds in the NWA with the Four Horsemen members Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, who will be on this list, mind you. And they're just one of the best. I mean, they're in the Legends of Wrestling games. I mean, they're pretty much created the Rockers. I mean, the Rockers stole everything from them, but still, gotta love the Rock and Roll Express. And their matches with the WWF and in Smoky Mountain, fantastic stuff. One of the best workers ever, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. So right there, team number 15, the Rock and Roll Express. Team number 14 is Strike Force. Yes, Strike Force makes the list, ladies and gentlemen, because Strike Force is set up of two of the most talented men in the ring, Tito Santana and Rick Martel. The team could have been much higher on the list if they had been together a lot longer. I mean, the WWE made them go their separate ways. They pretty much lasted about a year. Tito was only thrown in there because of the Tom Zank leaving the WWF. So that's why they're there. I mean, they had great matches with Demolition, and they beat the Hart Foundation for the titles. You can't take that away from them. So that's why I would put Strike Force there. Number 14, the Strike Force. Number 13, one of my personal favorite tag teams, one of the most underrated tag teams in wrestling ever, the Quebecers, ladies and gentlemen. The Quebecers make this list because, first of all, they are also comprised of two frickin' talented tag teams, members, Jacques Rougeau and Pierre-Carl Ouellette, and they had a great mouthpiece with them. They didn't really need to do interviews. I mean, you had Raven as Johnny Polo make great interviews out of them. And as a matter of fact, the Quebecers were main eventing stuff in like the 90s. I mean, it was supposed to be at Survivor Series 93, Yokozuna, Ludwig Borga, and the Quebecers versus Luger, Tatanka, and the Steiners. So the Quebecers could have been great. And they were like in the final of the Intercontinental title Battle Royal that Razor won. I mean, Quebecers one of the most underrated tag teams ever, my personal favorites. Shame what WCW did to them as the amazing French Canadians. But anyway, Quebecers, number 13. Team number 12 is the Rockers. Ladies and gentlemen, the Rockers make this list because they were tag team specialists, and they had a very unique style. Great feuds in the AWA, I mean, with Playboy Buddy Rose and Doug Summers. Yeah. I mean, I've seen those feuds on ESPN Classic Canada. Once ESPN Classic Canada got wrestling, they used to show old AWA. So I'm in there. I mean, you had great stuff. I mean, they had bloody wars. I mean, watching Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty bleed like pigs to the slaughter. I mean, that's what it was like. And they had great stuff in the WWF. They were tag team champions, but they got taken away in a weird way, but whatever. Would have actually liked them to see champs for... Wait, what can you do? So the Rockers, number 12. Team number 11. Now, some people may forget about this team, but it's Los Gringos Loco, the team of Eddie Guerrero and Art Barr. They make this list because Eddie Guerrero had one of the biggest heel turns in Mexican wrestling history. When he turned his back on Mexico and joined America, it was like treason was committed there in Mexico. And him and Art Barr just pissed the fans matches. I mean, their hair versus mask match, 2 out of 3 falls, on, I think, AAA's very first and only pay-per-view was fucking awesome. I wish, from what I only read about it in Eddie Guerrero's book, but if I had seen it, man, it would look, I've seen clips of it, it's 5 stars. I mean, Eddie got shaved in the match, but whatever, awesome. And considering Art Barr got his head shaved, his head shaved pretty much by the douchebag Nasty Boy, that's why I enjoyed them match. And Art Barr, one of the most underrated guys ever. And you had great high flying, etc. Art Barr, one of the most talented men ever. Never gonna get a break in the US though. So, Los Gringos Loco, number 11. So, number 10. Team number 10. Another one of my favorite tag teams. It's Harlem Heat. Harlem Heat are on this list because pretty much from to 97, 96, they owned WCW in the tag team division. They had great feuds with the Nasties, with the Blue Bloods, with Colonel Paca's stable, with Public Enemy, with anyone you put Harlem Heat in there, you'd have a great match. And Harlem Heat was one of the most hated tag teams in WCW. So, and they're one of my favorites. And they had another great mouthpiece in Sherry Martel. Fucking sweet tag team. If they ever come back together, that would be awesome. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up part 1 of Listed, the top 20 greatest tag teams. So anyway, I'll see you on the other side. Bye for later.